When the Michigan Wolverines and the Washington Huskies compete against one another in the 2024 College Football Playoff National Championship game, it will be a battle of strength against strength, and something will have to give between the two teams. The Wolverines, who are ranked first, have the second-best pass defense in the country, while Washington, who is ranked second, has the greatest passing offense in the 5 college football conference. Additionally, Michigan possesses one of the most formidable defensive fronts, and the offensive line at the University of Washington is among the finest in the country. When the team finally succeeds, it will be the first time in decades that they have won a title. The year 1997 marked the most recent of Michigan's 10 national championships, whereas the year 1991 was the year that Washington earned its only championship. At NRFI Stadium in Houston, the game is scheduled to begin at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. According to the most recent odds for the match between Washington and Michigan, which were compiled by Sportsline, the Wolverines are the favorites by 5 points, while the over/under for total points is set at 56. You must read the college football predictions and betting tips provided by Jimmy Kaler of Sportsline before you make any decisions about the game between Michigan and Washington or predictions regarding the CFP National Championship. In addition to being a member of the Pro Football Writers of America, Kaler is an expert on the National Football League (NFL), college football, and daily fantasy sports (DFS) for Sportsline. She has covered both the NFL and college football for nearly a decade. When it comes to constructing his fantasy lineups and securing his betting predictions, he brings a fresh viewpoint to the table thanks to his past as a former college football, All-American, and NFL player. Since the beginning of the previous 2 years, he has been making a significant amount of money and has his finger on the pulse of the college football environment. Throughout the entire season, Kaler has been extremely successful, as seen by his overall record of 98-42 on his college football best bets for Sportsline. He's currently up 55.3 units, which results in a profit of $5,530 for bettors who wagered $100. Whoever followed his picks throughout the season is in a very good position. Now Kaler has zeroed in on the CFP National Championship game between Michigan and Washington, and he has just announced his highly anticipated picks and predictions for the game. You can check out his selections by going to Sportsline right now. The following is a list of gambling lines and odds for the NCAA football game between Washington and Michigan. The spread for Michigan versus Washington is Michigan -5. The over/under for the Michigan versus Washington game is 56 points. The money line prediction for Michigan versus Washington is Michigan -218 and Washington +179. Choosing between Michigan and Washington, picks can be found on Sportsline. Live streaming of the Michigan versus Washington game, Fubo, free trial available. Why Washington can support. With a record of 3-0 against the spread as underdogs this season, the Huskies have won 5 consecutive games, 4-0-1 against the spread, against top 10 opponents. It is expected that they will rely on a passing attack that has not yet been halted, which will be spearheaded by quarterback Michael Penix Jr., in addition to surpassing 4,500 passing yards for the second consecutive season. Penix is now ranked 3rd in the nation with 35 touchdown passes. In addition, the senior has only been sacked 10 times so far this season, while being behind an outstanding offensive line that was awarded the Joe Moore Award as the best football line in the country. Penix possesses exceptional receivers that are capable of making significant plays. Averaging more than 17 yards per reception, Romo Duns and Jalen Polk both have 1,553 receiving yards, which places them in second place in the nation. Jalen Polk has 1,122 receiving yards. Dylan Johnson, a running back, has rushed for 1,162 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, and has scored 16 touchdowns on the ground. And Braylon Trice, who has 7 sacks, and cornerback Jabbar Muhammad, who has 13 pass breakups, are both contributors to the defense's success. The University of Washington has won 21 consecutive games, making them the FBS team with the longest ongoing winning streak. Here is where you can choose your team. What Michigan can cover. Throughout most of the season, the Wolverines have been the team to beat thanks to their formidable defense and well-balanced attack. Even though they are outscoring their opponents by 25.8 points per game, their defense is only allowing 10.2 points per game, which is the lowest in the FBS. Washington is ranked 50th in terms of scoring per game with 24.1 points and 122nd in terms of throwing yards per game with 267. A total of 6 sacks were recorded by Michigan versus Texas, with 4 of those sacks occurring early in the game. Blake Corum, who has rushed for 1,111 yards and scored at least 1 touchdown in every game, is the driving force behind the offensive success of the University of Miami. Corum has scored at least 2 touchdowns on the ground in each of the last 6 games, and he has rushed for 25 touchdowns. As a result of quarterback J.J. McCarthy's flawless performance, the Wolverines have a record of 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games. 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions have been thrown by him, and Michigan has a turnover margin of +17. Here is where you can choose your team. Instructions on how to select Washington versus Michigan. Because Kaler has examined Michigan versus Washington from every conceivable viewpoint, he is leaning toward the under on the point total. In addition to this, he has found a crucial X factor that has him jumping all over one side of the spread. At Sportsline, he is merely providing information about what it is and which side to support. In the College Football Playoff National Championship, which will take place at NRFI Stadium in Houston, the Michigan Wolverines 14-0 and the Washington Huskies 14-0 will compete against one another. This will be the final college football stage. In the semifinal game of the College Football Playoff, which took place in the Rose Bowl, Michigan defeated Alabama, the SEC champion, throughout overtime by a score of 27-20. And despite the distraction of 2 NCAA investigations surrounding head coach Jim Harbaugh, Michigan remained focused on reaching the championship game. And the Wolverines were able to overcome every obstacle that was placed in their path. They were successful. A national championship title has not been won by Michigan since 1997, and they are hoping to win it. In the college football playoff semifinal game that took place at the Sugar Bowl, the Washington Huskies, who were led by Michael Penix Jr., who finished as the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, defeated the Texas Longhorns by a score of 37-31 to secure their spot in the championship game. Throughout 2 seasons, Kellen DeBoer has served as the head coach of the Huskies. During his tenure, the team has recorded 21 consecutive victories and made their very first trip to the title game of the college football playoff. Since 1991, the Huskies have not won in scoreboard states. Based on recent trends, the winning team model predicts Michigan will win the national championship with 57.4% confidence over Washington. According to ESPN, Michigan has a 74% risk of winning. The College Football Playoff National Championship is a game that the Michigan Wolverines have a 74.3% chance of winning against the Washington Huskies, as stated by the ESPN matchup predictor. Network of Action, Michigan Section 23-20 Washington. The following is what the staff has to say about the game. From a comprehensive standpoint, I would lean toward a score of under 45 or better in a game that I anticipate being played at a plodding pace, as Michigan plays slowly and Alabama has played much slower in its larger games this season. The fact that each team has a punter who is exceptional and can flip the field is another factor that favors an under. It will give Michigan 23-20, if you please. Who will emerge victorious in the 2024 College Football Playoff National Championship game between Washington and Michigan? And what crucial X factor makes it imperative to bet on one of the 2 teams? Visit Sportsline right now to find out which side of the spread you should bet on when it comes to college football, all from the expert who has a 98-40 roll on his best bets, and find out more. Thanks for watching. Kindly like and subscribe for more videos. In the comments section of the post, please tell me how many you discovered.